Just when you thought spring was around the corner, when the first buds start to appear and the days grow a little longer, winter has one more surprise in store. The air feels a bit warmer, the snow is melting, and you might even spot a few brave flowers poking through the soil. But don't pack away your coats just yet. Out of nowhere, winter is making a dramatic comeback, unleashing a powerful storm that blankets city streets and neighborhoods in fresh snow. The sky darkens, winds pick up, and the world is transformed once again into a winter wonderland, just when everyone was ready to welcome spring. A major atmospheric event is underway, one that meteorologists have been watching closely. The polar vortex, a massive ring of cold air swirling high above the Arctic, has dominated this winter's weather patterns. Now it's collapsing, sending shock waves through the atmosphere, triggered by a rapid warming high in the stratosphere. This breakdown is one of the most significant in decades. The sudden stratospheric warming event is disrupting the usual flow of the jet stream, causing the polar vortex to weaken and split apart. The result? The coldest Arctic air, usually trapped at the pole, is now free to surge southward. This frigid air mass is on the move, barreling down into regions that were just starting to thaw, bringing with it the potential for record-breaking cold and late-season snow. This means a final powerful blast of winter is on the way, even as the calendar says spring. Streets lined with spring decorations and blooming flower beds will soon be dusted with snow, a stark reminder that nature doesn't always follow the rules. We've already seen record Arctic blasts this season, with cars buried under snowdrifts and rivers freezing solid in cities that rarely see such extremes. But this event is shaping up to be the grand finale, a final act that could outdo them all. The gate is open. Now we watch where the cold will strike next. Meteorologists are tracking the path of this Arctic air, watching as it spreads south across North America, bringing unpredictable weather and challenging forecasts. This isn't just a weather story. It will impact everything from heating bills to travel plans. People are rushing to prepare, stocking up on supplies, shoveling driveways, and bracing for flight delays and power outages. In the next sections, we'll break down what the polar vortex is, why it's collapsing, and what it means for you. We'll hear from experts and look at the science behind this rare event. So, get ready for winter's last wild ride. There's a lot to unpack, and it's all happening right now. Let's dive in. The polar vortex is a giant spinning mass of frigid air high above the North Pole, swirling around like a colossal icy crown at the top of our planet. It's not a single storm, but a vast, persistent system that forms every winter, year after year, as the sun's energy fades and the Arctic plunges into darkness. This vortex is a natural part of Earth's climate engine, and it's been shaping our winters for as long as we've had seasons. It's surrounded by fierce, high-speed winds that whip around its edge, acting like a powerful fence that keeps the coldest air bottled up over the pole. These winds can reach speeds of over 100 miles per hour, circling the Arctic in a relentless race. When the polar vortex is strong and stable, it acts as a barrier, locking the Arctic chill in place and allowing much of North America, Europe, and Asia to enjoy relatively milder winter weather. Cities far from the pole might see only a dusting of snow or a gentle, cold snap, rather than a deep freeze. But when the vortex weakens, that fence starts to wobble and break down. Suddenly, the cold air that was trapped up north can spill out, surging southward in dramatic fashion. This is when we get those infamous Arctic blasts that can send temperatures plummeting overnight. Imagine the polar vortex as a bowl of icy water spinning on a table. As long as it spins smoothly and quickly, the water stays neatly inside the bowl, contained and controlled. But if the bowl starts to wobble or slow down, the water sloshes over the edge, spilling out in unpredictable directions. That's exactly what happens with the polar vortex and Arctic air. The polar vortex itself sits high up in the stratosphere, about 10 to 30 miles above the ground, much higher than where our daily weather systems form. Up there, it's invisible to the naked eye, but its influence is felt all the way down to the surface. What happens in the stratosphere can dramatically shape our weather down here. A sudden shift or disruption in the vortex can set off a chain reaction, changing wind patterns and sending waves of cold air far from the Arctic. When the vortex weakens or even splits into two, the jet stream below becomes wavy and erratic. This allows frigid Arctic air to plunge deep into North America, Europe, and Asia, bringing with it the potential for record-breaking cold, heavy snow, and even ice storms. The polar vortex isn't a storm itself, but a large-scale atmospheric pattern that sets the stage for the cold snaps and snowstorms we experience. It's the reason why some winters are mild, while others are brutally cold and snowy. Meteorologists closely monitor the polar vortex, using satellites and weather models to predict when and where these Arctic outbreaks might strike. Understanding its behavior helps us prepare for sudden deep freezes and extreme winter weather. The polar vortex is the hidden force behind those sudden, bone-chilling deep freezes that can transform a city overnight, coating everything in ice and snow. So the next time you hear polar vortex in the news, remember, it's not just a buzzword, but the true source of winter's fiercest cold, shaping the weather for millions of people. And this year, the polar vortex is putting on quite a show, with dramatic shifts and powerful cold waves making headlines around the world. Let's dive deeper and see what triggered its collapse, and how it might impact the rest of our winter. The collapse began with a sudden stratospheric warming, or SSW, a rapid temperature spike high above the pole. It sounds odd, but this warming disrupts the polar vortex, making it unstable. In early March, temperatures in the stratosphere soared by up to 45 degrees Fahrenheit in just days. Powerful atmospheric waves from below slammed into the vortex, reversing its winds and breaking it apart. The cold air was shoved off the pole, splitting into smaller lobes. Scientists call this a final warming. The vortex won't recover this season. The result, the barrier holding back Arctic air is gone, and the stratosphere is unusually warm. This sets off a chain reaction, sending cold air down to the surface over the next few weeks. Soon, we'll all feel the effects of this atmospheric shakeup. With the polar vortex now shattered, the atmosphere above the Arctic is in chaos. The once stable circulation that kept frigid air locked over the pole has broken apart, sending ripples through the weather systems below. This means that cold Arctic air is now free to spill southward, no longer held back by the vortex's walls. As this icy air surges down, it sets the stage for dramatic changes in weather across the northern hemisphere. But these changes don't happen overnight. There's typically a lag of about 2 to 3 weeks as the disruption in the upper atmosphere works its way down to the surface, gradually shifting weather patterns and temperatures. During this time, the jet stream, a fast-moving river of air high above, becomes much more wavy and erratic. Deep troughs form, acting like giant funnels that channel cold air into North America, Europe, and Asia, while ridges bring milder air elsewhere. These troughs serve as highways for Arctic blasts, allowing waves of frigid air to plunge southward. This not only brings prolonged cold, but also increases the risk of heavy snow, ice storms, and blizzard conditions in affected regions. The boundary between cold and warm air becomes a battleground for powerful storms, especially as winter draws to a close. Here, snow, sleet, and freezing rain can all occur, sometimes in rapid succession. This year's event is especially potent. Meteorologists are tracking a deep reservoir of cold air poised to move south, with the potential to set new records for low temperatures and snowfall in some areas. Forecasts show that the eastern United States, northern Europe, and parts of Central Europe are likely to be hit hardest, with snow and ice disrupting daily life and travel. Much of Asia is also in the crosshairs, from Tokyo to Moscow and Beijing, as the cold air spreads eastward, bringing winter storms to millions more. Millions of people should prepare for a significant and possibly extended return to winter. This means stocking up on essentials, checking heating systems, and staying alert for weather warnings. The stage is set for a classic post-vortex split pattern, one that can bring both beauty and danger, with snow-blanketed landscapes and hazardous conditions. So get ready for what could be the final and perhaps fiercest round of winter's weather this season. The coming weeks will test our resilience and preparedness. Stay tuned for updates, and here's what to expect where you live as this extraordinary weather event unfolds. In eastern North America, a deep trough will likely set up, opening the door for Arctic air to surge south. Expect colder than average temperatures from the Midwest to the East Coast, highs stuck in the 30s and 40s, lows dipping into the teens and 20s. The risk of late-season snow increases, with nor'easters and clipper systems possible. Meanwhile, the West may see warmer, drier conditions as the jet stream bulges north. It's a tale of two winters. The East shivers, the West gets an early taste of spring. This sharp contrast is a classic sign of a polar vortex disruption. Prepare for a final stubborn chill before spring takes over. Europe and Asia aren't spared. Cold air is on the move there too. Northern and Eastern Europe, from Scandinavia to Russia, could see a sharp drop in temperatures and a return of frosty nights. The beast from the east pattern may bring late-season snow and disrupt travel. In Asia, lobes of Arctic air will plunge into Siberia, China, and Japan, delaying spring and bringing unusual cold. The Siberian high may strengthen, pumping cold air across vast regions. These outbreaks can last for weeks, affecting agriculture and daily life. It's a global event with far-reaching consequences. The chill is coming across continents. This late-season cold snap has real-world impacts. Energy demand will spike as millions turn up the heat, straining grids and raising bills. Travel could be disrupted by surprise snow and ice, with airports and roads caught off guard. Agriculture is especially vulnerable. Early crops and budding fruit trees risk damage from hard freezes. A single cold night can wipe out a season's harvest, leading to higher prices at the store. That's why accurate forecasts matter. They give us time to prepare. Energy companies can plan, transportation crews can get ready, and farmers can protect crops. This event is a reminder of how closely our lives are tied to the weather. Preparation is key to minimizing the impact. Let's see when the cold will hit. So, when will you feel the chill? The stratospheric disruption peaked in early March. Expect the cold to arrive from late March through mid-April, a 2 to 4 week window. Watch for a shift in the jet stream, then a prolonged spell of colder than average weather. The pattern could lock in for a week or more, with chilly nights and frosts lingering into late April. This is the final act of a dramatic winter, capping off a season of wild polar vortex swings. The atmosphere will rebalance as spring advances, but this event will leave its mark. Stay alert for updates as the cold air makes its move. The last blast of winter is almost here. What happens high above truly shapes our lives below. The polar vortex collapse is a powerful reminder that winter can return when we least expect it. Thanks to improved forecasting, we can see these events coming and prepare. Don't pack away your winter gear just yet. Keep coats and gloves handy. Gardeners, be ready to protect sensitive plants from frost. Stay informed with local forecasts and check on neighbors, especially the vulnerable. This event also highlights the value of ongoing scientific research into our changing atmosphere. Each polar vortex disruption teaches us more, helping us predict and prepare for the next one. Let's use this knowledge to stay safe, make smart choices, and appreciate the power of our planet's weather. Winter's final act is here. Let's be ready for whatever comes next.